Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ministry. I am your host, Pastor Moses Chiluba. And without wasting much of the time, in the studio, I have the privilege of hosting Mr. Lubinda Habazoka. I hope I got the name correct.
Very, very correct.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's indeed a pleasure, you know. I grew up watching you on TV, and for me it's a dream come true.
In Bemba, we simply say Nshikushali nyomwana na nyina. Yeah. Mr. Habazoka, please, you see, when you come on Camnet TV and National Matters, the nation would like to know who is Mr. Lubinda Habazoka. If you look in that camera and tell the nation who you are, your background, whether you are married, you are divorced, or you are still up for the market, please say those things.
My name is Lubinda Habazoka. I was born in Kitwe in 1981 on the 27th February. Both my parents were teachers. My father was, until his death, lecturer at now Mukuva University. My mother was a deputy head mistress at one of the schools in Luanshya. So I was born in Kitwe, and immediately we moved to Luanshya. That's where I did my grade 1, grade 8. Then I moved to Kafia Boys. From there, I was graduated in 1998, best student, by the way, in grade 12. Then I was given a Zambian government scholarship to go and study economics in Russia. I went to Russia in 1999 and graduated with a PhD. So I did my first degree, master's, and PhD in Russia, and graduated with a PhD a month after my birthday. That is on the 27th March 2009. From there, I was working in Russia. Then in 2010, I was contacted by the Copperbelt University. Having benefited from the government scholarship, I was called to come and to be interviewed for a job of a lecturer at the Copperbelt University. From there, I started working in August at the Copperbelt University. I became head of department, and then moved in end of 2017 to the University of Zambia as director of the Graduate School of Business. And the following year, 2018, I became president of the Economic Association of Zambia. A position,
in
2018.
Okay.
A position that I still hold up to now. So I'm director of the Graduate School of Business at the University of Zambia, and also president of the Economics Association of Zambia. Of course, I still do a lot of other things in my private life. I'm married. I'm a farmer. I'm a Christian.
You are married. For how long have you been married?
For 10 years now.
For 10 years.
Yes.
And you say you are a Christian. Which church are you with?
I used to go to the Catholic Church until my Christianity was influenced with the Russian Orthodox beliefs. And I think now I believe that a Christian, it doesn't depend on which church you go to. I think Christianity is a relationship between a person and God. I think the church, I know you are going to disagree with me. The church...
Now, before we go to that, and before you confuse the nation, let's remain with economics, because I need to teach you about that, what you have brought. I know that you were in Russia doing your PhD. Now there is another PhD you need to attend to. Power to pull heaven down. I'm so grateful for that rundown. Ms. Habazoka, obviously I invited you here because Zambia is very close to my heart. And when I say Zambia is very close to my heart, I want to let you know that in the year of our Lord 1987, I flew to Antigua And after preaching in a stadium with a lot of miracles, I was invited by the head of state at that time, who was Honorable V.C. Bird. I met him with my senior pastor, Nason Musonda, and again I went back, and I've been meeting the heads of states of that country, and different heads of state, but let's talk about Antigua. When I met the Honorable V.C. Bird in 1987, the first thing he said was, Pastor Chilo, I love people like you. Come and settle in Antigua. I'll give you land and help you build the church, because I want Antiguans to have a preacher like you. Now, it was a gracious offer. It's coming from the head of state, and I knew I was going to be in a nice, comfortable suburb. I was going to be sitting on money. But when I thought about Zambia, why should a good talent or calling be exported? Does it mean that Zambia doesn't need good things? So I came back, we discussed with my wife, we felt it was here. In New York, same thing, we were given a church, and in those days, the salary was about $10,000. My kids going to top schools and everything, the package was coming to $15,000, $18,000 per month. When I converted that to Zambia, I said I can feed a lot of families with it. But Zambia still remains my country. And when I look at Zambia, other people see hopelessness. Other people see a Zambia that will finish, that will be bought by the Chinese, taken over by what? But I see a different Zambia. That's me, as your pastor. I see a different Zambia, and I see a great nation. What do you think of Zambia?
Pastor, I really love this country, and when I went to Russia, I really fell in love with that country. I was doing a lot of things that made me go on even national television. I was more popular. I was known by, it's a country of about 140 million people. I can roughly say I was known by over 80 million people in Russia, to a level whereby I would not sit nicely in a restaurant. People be coming to crowd because of the different things that I used to do in that particular country. So to move from that particular country to Zambia was a decision I made based on the fact that I could not buy land. I could not call that country my home place. Of course, those people have been very good to me, even up to now. I receive offers, I read lectures at various universities in Russia. I do a lot of consultancy and works with people from that country. But just to think of Zambia, and it pains me to see, especially the youth and the women today, especially the youth, looking at it as a country that is very thinking it's hopeless. It's not. This is the only country where you can still find land in a capital city, where you can get virgin land and build a new house altogether. In Zambia, you can buy for 200,000 kwacha a small piece of land. If you go to Morocco, in the capital city, you need $2 million for that. And this is a country where everybody wants a piece. All investors are looking at it. That's why I think we have been treated very unfair. The narrative of saying the Chinese and the what, and that narrative is sponsored by people that are unable to compete with Chinese investments. But I know Zambians. Zambians are very protective of their own country. We are the British. We got independence. You got independence. You fought for this country. And there's no other person that will come and take over this republic. In 2015, I got a job in Wales with Aberystwyth University. And they were,
where is that?
It's in Wales, in Aberystwyth. And the salary was very good. And they were sending me to their Mauritius branch campus. I even went there for 2 weeks, surveyed the place. And I was given a lot of restrictions. You cannot invest, you cannot start the company, you cannot do what?
In Mauritius?
In Mauritius. And I looked at the country very
As a
beautiful,
foreigner?
As a foreigner. And my salary was very, very competitive. I could have moved. You know, the contract was already signed. They even gave me an email address for the investor or not. But just for me to move, to go and live there and leave Zambia, I think you know, that's the decision was very difficult to make, because I think I have a lot to offer to this country, and just leaving a country that educated you to move to another country. I think that particular point was very difficult. But all in all, I think when I look back, I don't regret, because I think I've managed to do a lot of things in the short time that I've been back in Zambia. I consider myself to have been in Zambia for only 10 years, because the periods before I finished grade 12, I was being kept. I don't remember, you know, I remember vividly what was in the country, but I had no control over or influence on what was happening in the nation. When I came back as an economist, as, for example, leading the ESG, I'm able to have an impact on the nation. That's why I believe that a person you don't need to be in government for you to bring beneficial change in the country. So to fellow Zambians that are watching, I think it's only up to us to make Zambia better. If you drive around Lusaka today, or even other countries of parts of the country, you find that you know, the outside of the yard, they remain unkept. Grass growing, you know, it's litter everywhere. What you ask for a country to be called a beautiful country, you need to water your lawns. You need to, you know, just sweeping does not cost money. For a 30 meter, for example, stretch, it's up to us to love our nation and to develop it.
I want to do something, Mr. I want to play you a song, because I have a lot of things to ask you. And I want to play you a song. This is by Kings Malembe Malembe. Lero nafyerwe balesa bali mpalire nokweba ati monsemo wenda waliwo wapalwa mwana wandi. I want the director to just play me that song, and then we'll come back to this discussion, because this is very important. Mr. Director, if you can play me that song.
Yeloine, batata bampala, bamayo bampala, elolesa wasumina, uyo ampala, masomo wenda, aine niko wele bigoko. Kashi mukwenda kwesu, nangwe vindu vilipe, nangwe vindu vikose, kaleleza ananda, uyo ampala, mwana wandi, masomo wenda, kalena pange shira yobe, wele bigoko. Kimote the blessing wind.
Elo Yesu afile, asende le fiancé, ubuchushi asenda, ela noma afila. Mwana wandi, oh nakupala kale. I am blessed for life, you are blessed for life. We are the seed of Abraham. Even in the period of famine, our seed will germinate, germinate. Oh, this storm is not for you, it's not for me. We are set apart.
Bakutipa batipa, bakulanda balanda, bakutukana batukana, kalelesa balanda, uyo ampala, baba mumbie, masomo wenda, onakupala kalele nikole, nangwa mafya ya ima, ifingunga vya isa, amanuele ya palama, nalolesa batire, uyo ampala, musolenda, masomo wenda, uwende mwolologa,
Nangufi usafianka luka, uyolesa atile. We mwana wandi, oh walipalwa kale. Nangu walapya wate mwiko bolesa atile. Walipalwa yue, walipalwa yeniko, yeniko.
JJ Music, KMP. Hallelujah. Malembe, malembe. Doreen. Awete wanga kwa balwafye. Iyelelele. Ah, yes. Umulilo wakula kukwete, na mano walomwa kukwete, nembalo lini walomwa kukwete. Ah, malembe. Ah, Yesu. Ni maringi kwa balwafye, lelo. Resali pachikuna tukachula ngafwa. Atite vya kusamba kwa balwafye, bana. Et toi balwafye, toi balwafye, toi balwafye, toi balwafye, toi balwafye. Glory the producer. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Toi balwafye, les saliranda pochimo, pamwa wesu. Ifya kwisa na fise, twalipalwa kale. One more time.
Yale mambali ne munda mune mayoyo te yale koka.
Ayo, ayo, oya de conca.
Welcome back, dear Camnet TV viewers. I played that song especially for you because sometimes, even myself, sometimes we don't tend to realize that God charts our path. You know, Kings says, "Ilyo maya fiere na batata bampala na bamayo." God says, "Monse muwenda walibo wapalwa mwana wanda." And looking at Zambia, we do not realize that this is a blessed nation. Our friends have had wars, they have had troubles, whatever, but Zambia with 73 tribes, we are still a peaceful country. And so what you were saying, Mr. Abazoka, let's go back to it. The blessings that you have acquired and the nation, I want to ask it from this angle. How do you think you are going to be a blessing to this nation? We'll come back to land, but how do you think you are going to be a blessing to this nation of Zambia, apart from lecturing?
Well, I think if I look back at my life, it was a life of I was taught you need to work hard and you should not repeat. You should not live the life that we are living now. No, my parents were teachers and they were getting $30 each per month. That was in the 90s. And when I got a scholarship to go and study economics, I was getting $100 per month. So I was getting twice their salary put together. And the secret to that was just to study. I knew that for me to improve on what my parents had achieved, I needed to really study hard. And unlike maybe other friends of mine, I took education very seriously because I saw that whoever was successful, the equalizer was education. So when I finished and made a decision to come back to Zambia, first of all, I had lived in a foreign land for a long time. And no matter how much I tried to integrate, there was no one to accept me wholeheartedly as a citizen. So I knew that for me to feel complete, I have to go back to my country. And when I came back to my country, everybody looked very loving. Because these are your countrymen, they understand you. So my only purpose for this, for Zambia, is to give back to what this nation has done to me. I'm not a rich person, but I'm not a struggling person as well. So the only way to help is to do, for example, economic policy advocacy, trying to help citizens with financial literacy. We have a lot of people, including educated ones, that are unable to start businesses. So once in a while, you write articles about, financial discipline.
So you are saying there are even some educated people who are unable to turn their education into
even professors. Even professors in this country, we work with them. You find that a person is getting more money than you, but you are at house number maybe 8 in terms of building. The professor is living in an institution house. Now, the difference between the two is one is able to wisely use their resources to make a decision. With this money that I have, where can I take it? So some will try to reduce on their luxury and invest, or others will try to use their money for luxury, try to make sure that they have 6 meals, because even 3 meals are enough. Some will, it's very difficult to help the whole extended family. It's impossible because our African families are very big. Much of the drain of our resources go towards that, and that's a mistake that I've seen in Zambia. You get paid and your money is pushed to give handouts to people. But what these handouts do is they create a dependency syndrome. These people think it's not even worth to get a job.
That's
because at the end of the month you give them a share of your salary. But the best empowerment is to give a person either to start a business or to give them an education. So in terms of giving back to this country, one, I want to show Zambians that you do not need to run for political office for you to help the country. You can help Zambia with even just from a private citizen perspective.
Without running for
any office.
political
I think I'm one of the few. I don't know, you never say never, but at the moment, if it was another person, they are going to be eyeing a constitution. I'm not eyeing a constituency. I'm not eyeing any constituency. And I have no need. I don't want to stand for any constituency, but I know that I'm able to help. One, if I'm educated, if I'm at ESZ, for example, I'm able to help explain to citizens, give guidance, engage government, engage citizens, various stakeholders. People are saying, for example, there's no money to invest in. But there's no money because the problem in Zambia is that we don't work together. So you'll find in the street there are 10 houses. One puts 100 chickens and they say, put chickens for sale. The neighbor is going to copy. And also after 6 weeks, you hear them, chickens for sale. So there will be chickens for sale everywhere. They are creating a competition on one road. But if those people came together and say, colleagues, there's a piece of land. Instead of doing it in the residential areas, let's put these monies, because we are all interested in chickens. Let's go and develop that farm. So that narrative, that crowdfunding concept is not there. I see people on Facebook. He's on Facebook the whole day, the whole night, eating up bundles. You can know that that person at least has maybe 2,000 kwacha a month, even 1,000. Those people, if they want fish farming to do a 20 by 25 pond, is only 48,000 kwacha. So if you are 48, you're able to do one. This month you do one, you populate it with fish. The next month you do another one. In 48 months, each and every one of you is going to own a fish pond. And you know, a fish pond, the first harvest is getting back your financing cost. The other harvest is profit. So you're able to grow. You're 48, you put 1,000 kwacha each. Some people, to lose 1,000 kwacha is not, it cannot be painful. So you can invest. 48, you form a company, you put in money. But we do not have the ability to come and sit down to say, let's form this company, let's put 1,000, we are 48, that is 48,000 kwacha, let's do a fish pond. We can't do that. We all have villages in this country. And in those villages, there's land that is for free. And most of our villages have running rivers. But how many of us have managed to just even go and mobilize our relatives to say, okay, let's do this kind of business? So,
yeah, sorry. What you are bringing here, I feel like we should spend 3 hours for Zambians to get this, because my heart is resonating with what you are bringing here. You see, the difference between Nigerians, Chinese, Indians, and Zambians is this. What I've noticed is that Zambians, we like kulibonation. If I know the brains that you have, the ideas that you have, I don't have them. I have ideas which you don't have. But instead of us coming together, Mr. Basonde, let's create a force. Just there, we are immediately thinking who is going to be the chairman.
yes, that's the problem.
So it's the post instead of the profit. You are looking for the post instead of the profit. And I think we have that problem in Zambia.
So the way I look at Zambia in general, I think the culture that we have cultivated, first one, I know a lot of people say it's not correct. We have developed this concept of trying to blame anything that happens in your life bad. You blame it on your parents, you blame it on your neighbors, you blame it on government and everything. And if it's government, it's even worse. Boma Yanganepo syndrome is too much. But what we do not realize is that what is government? A government is a reflection of society. That is one. Two, a government is there to create an environment for us to develop. Meaning, businesses, jobs are supposed to be created by us citizens. But for us to create jobs, we need to do entrepreneurship. Now, the mistake that we are making as Zambians is say government should give capital to do business. No, government is supposed to collect taxes from us and go and do schools, hospitals, roads, and everything. So when government goes to borrow money somewhere to come and do roads, it means as citizens we have failed to generate money, to generate income that is enough to pay taxes to go and do these roads.
Please repeat that point. Yeah, if I was in my Chinsali atmosphere, I would have said, please repeat that again. You are saying that when the government leaves to go and borrow money, it means that the citizens
Have failed
to generate funds.
funds through businesses
My goodness.
that can be able to be taxed to do a road, to do a school. So in order to do those things, so citizens are generating not enough. So government goes and borrows, does the project, and starts repaying from the lead to that. Citizens are contributing every month. For example, our debt now stands at 12 billion kwacha, around there. If our economy, if we had no droughts, we had no, that led to food shortages, power cuts, our GDP now was supposed to be around 38 billion kwacha, because it was 27 billion in around 2015. So it was almost 15 somewhere around 2010. So our economy has been growing very fast. So if everything was okay, we were going to be above 30 billion now. We were not going to even be talking about that debt, because we are generating enough income to be able to repay the debt. Now, what I have seen in the atmosphere in the country is what? Everybody is waiting for government to create employment. But we are in a market economy. If you remember very well, in 1991, we all cried heavily to have UNIP removed. UNIP, that was pushing a command economy, meaning all production is predominantly done by government. So government will have no excuse to say we are not raising enough income, because government is the one that is producing goods. So all the responsibilities of doing roads, creating jobs, and what they fall on government. Now we are in a market economy. Government is supposed to tax citizens. Citizens create employment. Who works in ministries? It's citizens. Civil servants are citizens. Who gives a borehole license? Those are Zambian citizens. Who is the president of the Republic of Zambia? He's a Zambian citizen. The ministers are Zambians. So you cannot say we are different. So the way we need to come together and start talking. What is it we really want for our country? Are we going to be living in 5-year cycles where we are going to be competing for, it's very unfortunate, Pastor, that from around 2006, 2010, 2011, this country has never made decisions in harmony. Half of the country is always switched off. So in that situation, you have, and if you do that on tribal grounds, what happens is that even if you are pushing in the same direction, half of the people you are pushing with are switched off because they do not want you to succeed. So unfortunately, this is the truth, their productivity becomes less. They don't want to hear good things about the country. They start sponsoring negative information. Even if those people, you are with them in a business, they don't want taxes, for example, to be paid. They don't want government to succeed, because all we are living in 5-year cycles to grab power. It's us who should rule all the time. But for how long will a certain portion of citizens switch off from national economic matters? For how long? For example, me, if I was okay, I support NAREP, for example. And I don't want PF to succeed. So even if you appointed me to do something very good, I will never do it according to expectations, because I want the person that is in government to fail, so that my NAREP can capitalize. But if as citizens we learn that politics is only 6 months before the elections, you have 5 years, let people work. After 5 years, you come down and say, what have they done? Based on that, you vote. Immediately after the elections, you switch off, you start doing national economic development. That way we are able to develop. I've never seen a country so divided, and so aggressive towards each other than our country. A country where you can even find, for us, we are Russian trained. We are taught that mother and country, it's country first. You don't, even if your country is wrong, somehow, and it has a quarrel with a foreign country, whatever, first you defend your own country, then you come and ask, but what did you do? Then you say, no, that is wrong. That's not the way you live with neighbors. But meanwhile, outside, you have portrayed that you are unified. But if you start going outside the country, soliciting for information or campaigns against your own country, that's because maybe you want to be in power. Even if you took over, you are not going to be seen as a clean nation because you have already given the corruption tag to your country. Foreign people, whites, they don't change midnight. If you say, for example, Nigeria is corrupt, the way the tag was given to Nigeria, for example, for lack of a better example, this tag continues up to now. So even Nigerians crossing into a new country, even into Zambia, face challenges at the airport. This is the narrative that you create. Now, if you start creating the narrative yourself,
Just
corruption.
Yeah, like you are saying, Zimbabwe, I go there a lot and I've got friends and those in power. You know, when Robert Mugabe was there, they gave a tag. He's a dictator, he's a corrupt person. Mugabe is long gone. Do you know that the sanctions are still there?
They are still there.
They are still looking at, as you have said, that whites don't change easily. They don't believe easily. And in the meantime, the economy of Zimbabwe is going down. And to some extent, our foreign powers, they enjoy such so that we perpetually become beggars.
If you look at Zambia, say 2013, 2015, we reached a stage, you know, when we were told that now you are a middle income country, 2010, or beginning 2011, we stopped receiving donor funding. Life went on. Then came our colleagues from the East. So Zambia at the moment is being perceived to be that country. And as president of EAZ, I received phone calls from Bloomberg, from Financial Times, from holders of our Eurobonds to say, so ZESCO, has it been sold to the Chinese? I said, but I was with Bwana Victor Mundende. He didn't mention about selling ZESCO. And you know, some of these companies are created by an act of parliament. You cannot just sell it. So now that's the narrative that we are creating ourselves. So when you go outside the country, say, me, I'm Habazoka, I've created the Citizens Empowerment Development Program. I need funding. I need investors. I say, no, Zambia is too volatile. I say, but why is Zambia volatile? No, you guys, the Chinese have bought your TV station, they have bought your ZESCO, they have bought... This is the narrative that is born during politics. You have bought, I don't know what, there's too much corruption, there's what. But, you know, when some of us were being taught economics, corruption is a thing that will never end. As long as there is sin. I don't want to go religious because here I can't win against you.
No, there you are right. Because the Bible says, the heart of man is desperately wicked above all things.
Yes.
And the person that is corrupt is the heart actually. It's not, somebody can be educated, somebody can have money. Corruption is the sting of death. There you are right.
So what we need to do is not to say, there's corruption, let's remove these people. Because as I've said, a government comes from society. So what we need to do, for example, if you want to tackle corruption, we need to create systems and procedures that are going to be able to reduce the vice. For example, even in the USA, there's a lot of corruption. We have had, for example, a head of state and the vice president. They own companies that have started, that are benefiting from the war they have started. These are all documented things.
A vice president.
A vice president.
And a president.
And the president. They own, they have interest in companies that are supplying to a war they have started. Here in Zambia, you're going to call them, maybe they are corrupt or they are what. In the West, they're called lobbyists. And when you look at the international monetary system, the international monetary system is controlled by a few countries. So when you label yourself corrupt, you are fighting amongst yourselves. And you label yourselves, for example, you are corrupt, you are poor managers. They will trigger that to the international market. And you will not have goodwill. Your bonds are going to be always expensive. investors won't bring money into your country, even if you changed power 10 years or 10 times, 60 times. So what we need to do as citizens is to come back and sit down and say, but what do we want in this country? We want jobs. How are jobs created? They are done businesses. Countries like South Korea, that's an example we always say. No, South Korea, it was like Zambia at independence, it's true. But little do we know that South Koreans went in their bags, collected gold earrings, savings, and everything, and gave to their government. When the government got those savings, the jewelry, everything, they sold them, consolidated the money, and sent experts to go and study outside the country. Now those people came back, and those developed a development plan, and the country started living by that. But in the conditions we are as Zambians today, we are unable to do that because we are constantly fighting. You meet a person, they'll ask you, what tribe are you? Or what political party are you? It's so, you can see the disunity. And because of that, this country cannot move forward. Zambia is a very beautiful country. We met, we had the National Economic Summit last year, and we had the president of the World Farmers Union. Said you have enough rains. For example, in the Northern Circuit, you have very fertile land. When you go to Luapula province today, go there in October. Don't go there even now. Maybe you say it's because the rain season just finished. Go there in October. You are going to find it's green. Why are we not doing goats there? Why are we not doing fish farming there? It's because as a nation, we have sat back and say, okay, these people are not giving me jobs. These people are not they shall see at election time.
You see, Ms. Abazoka, may God bless you. I've always said this, even in my preaching. I've heaped the blame on politicians that they are not teaching the Zambians correct things. Because when you say, if I come into power, I'll create 2 million jobs, where will you get it from if you don't teach people to make money? Like you said, government collects money from its people. America, the tax base, it is so broad. Here you have, sorry to say this, you have Zambians of Asian origin. Some of them, we play golf with them. And when you go in Kamwala, these shops, the receipt they will give you, I don't know whether ZRI even collects the money from every shop. So there is no policy to say every person who makes money will tax something, will get something. Now, we are just saying we'll create jobs. From where? And this is one of the reasons why, Mr. Abasonde, I've always believed that thank God for copper. But for me, if I was president, I would say, okay, let the copper thing go on. I'm going to look at the land of Zambia and create, like you are saying, a small piece of land in Japan, 10 by 10 meters. My friend in Canada told me that is owned by a millionaire. You can't own that land on its own. If you have 1 acre or 10 hectares, you must be the owner of Toyota, something like that. But here in Zambia, even our fathers and mothers, the chiefs, some of them, they give away land even to foreigners. Get a Pajero, get a genset or solar, then you give them land, 250, 500 acres. For what?
I think the problem of land is the problem of citizens themselves. Because the people that give away land are Zambians. The process of acquiring government land is very easy, and it's well known. Plots are advertised, and the law is very clear. If you are a foreigner, you need to have an investor permit, meaning show proof that you have more than $300,000 or $250,000, and you have permanent residence. That's when you can get land on lease. If you are not that, only a Zambian can get. But what is happening is that now they go to customary land, for example. Then they are given that customary land. Because as Zambians have run away, You know where the problem is? I know a lot of people say, I like blaming citizens a lot. Which Zambian watching this program today is able to look and say, I can open a shop in Cairo Road and open another one in Quito, but I'll be living in Lusaka, but the Quito one, I'll delegate somebody, a fellow Zambian, run it for me. No one is going to say that because they are scared that that person they delegated to is going to steal all the money. Which Zambian abroad now is able to identify a person, I'll be sending them $10,000 a month for them to build for me a house. By the time that person in the diaspora comes and comes back to Zambia, they won't even find the foundation. They would find that the person they were sending to money has built a similar house. I have tried remote farming today. If there are people that are watching today that have managed to do remote farming, let them please come and see me. I want to know how they have done it. Because you would leave inputs, put fertilizer, and say, I'm going to come back the following weekend because me, I work. You pay them a surprise visit on Wednesday. You find those inputs, the same place where you dumped them. If it's fresh vegetables to plant this. You come back, they'll say, no, we planted it, dried down. But those people did not even attempt to do that. If it's village chicken, a snake beat it, a big bird, goat, there are a lot of stories. Because we do not have this has to do with our own personal culture as a country. In Europe, you're able to delegate. You employ a person and say, you run this thing for me. It's very rare. Yes, people will steal, but it's very rare to find a person misusing the resources. The reason that happens in Zambia is the African mentality. He's my brother. You forgive. When a person gets your resources, you even hear a person coming back to you to say, but brother, we are all Christians. We make mistakes. And the person will move and go and commit the same. So we need to do professionalism. If you are doing a business, you need to be registered with PACRA. You need to pay your fair share. There's nothing like you are small what. You need to pay your fair share. Maybe where we can look at is a percentage of tax. Maybe not 35% from profits, maybe 10% if you are just beginning. But the problem, if you pass such laws, Zambians will be beginning all the time. That's we have a lot of trust issues in our country. And I think our inability, I asked myself, Nigerians have billionaires. South Africans have billionaires. Tanzanians have billionaires. Kenyans have very rich people. But what about Zambia? A country whose official mining industry is 5 billion. If you remove the unofficial, according to my calculations, our mining industry is above 8 billion kwacha a year. Our debt is just 12 billion. If you look at KCM, we have $90 billion worth of copper reserves in the KCM. $90 billion. You ask our colleague, the former ZCCM MD, Bwana Pascal, so he will tell you the same figures. If he maybe gives figures and they are separate from me, the diversion is very small. We still have huge reserves. But look at the story that we continue singing. We have been told by the people that own the mine that no, there's nothing here. Even the guys in Mopani, no, there's nothing here. Now, because we are doing politics, you find probably the owners of a mine would start sponsoring this one, then they'll chase employees so that those vote against, then at the end of the day, that person comes in power and gives preference or just closes their eyes and then they don't collect taxes. A person who immediately starts calling for the collection of taxes in the mining industry is hated by the industry. 1. 2, he will never get support from people that should give him support. Look, of 10,000 Zambians sent home in Mufria and Kid. So which copper belt are you going to have? But there's a lot of minerals in Mopani today. If the mines were bad, why are we in court at KCM? If the mines were very bad in Mopani, why is Mopani not leaving to say things are bad, we have left? The way Anglo-American left.
And they are still bringing trucks and equipment.
And I see trucks of, a copper now is over $6,000 per ton. But they want to go on care and maintenance because they know They have studied how we think. We are going into an election, we will panic, and we are going to fold in and start giving them the VAT refunds without any justification.
So, this is a serious problem. Do you have time to see the president? As you, as president of Economic Association of Zambia, do you have time to advise him? Because why I'm saying that, what you have brought out, Mr. Abasonde, again, if I was president, and thank God for President Lungu, I think last year or this year, he told the mining people to say, you leave, we are going to manage this. There was that, let me not mislead the word, but there was a place where the president just put his foot to say you are not going to chase the Zambians. There were too many. Now, the question is, Mr. Abasonde, do you have time to advise the president? Because some of these decisions, we must just take them with boldness. If you don't bring your tax here, whether people vote for me or not, I'm not going to budge, but you must put the tax on the table.
You know, Economic Association of Zambia is more like that unofficial advisor to government. And when it comes to mining, we have knocked doors on all relevant government departments. We have had meetings with ZCCM, the Ministry of Mines, the ministry responsible for finance, and the economic advisor to the president and the president himself. I'm telling you that from my side, when, for example, the KCM issue came, the Mopani issue came in, we normally speak the same language, government, Mine Workers Union of Zambia, and the Economic Association of Zambia. The enemies of progress will say, no, these are paid, they are not independent. But as we're looking at the people that, for example, now that are in Kitwe and Frida and Wansha that have no jobs, we have received more, I think the most times we have met, for example, the president, mining has been top priority in terms of discussions. And we are very happy that President Lungu's government is now known by the international community to be a government that sticks by its words. When it says it's going to revoke the license, the license will be revoked.
Oh, really?
When KCM was put into liquidation, there were a lot of people that said it was a very bad move. And they said all sorts of things. As EAZ will come that with, very well. And you could see what was in Chingora. People went on the street in jubilation. Those are your Zambians, men and women, that have seen the evils. They count. You know, people from the Copper Belt are not stupid. When they see a truck passing, they will tell you these are cathodes, these are anodes. They know those things. They will tell you that is, just by looking, the percentage is this. The whole truck, they will do calculation, the tonnage, and they will know how much money is on that truck. Now they see those trucks going every day, but when they read the newspaper, they will see this is a loss-making mine. So when that decision was made, it's a very bold decision to make by government. When Mopani this year said because of COVID we are closing down, government was very clear that they were going to revoke the license. EAZ, we sat down with our mining experts, they said this is a good move. We supported government. We have been involved before as EAZ in groups of committees of experts to look at the way forward. When they were changing mine taxes, EAZ was involved. So on the part of engagement between government and EAZ, as far as the mines are concerned, we have engaged, I think, more than probably any other association might have engaged. But you know, when you are making decisions of this nature, you need all stakeholders on board. Because some decisions are wise, but can make you very unpopular. For example, there was an issue where they said, can you declare Zambia that there's poverty because of some areas that did not receive proper rainfall in the country? Yes, there were issues there with food. But look, when you declare Zambia as a country that is in a food crisis, when there's no food crisis, and when the NGOs come on the ground and they find that actually there's maize rotting in northern province, for example, because there was enough rain. There was a bumper harvest this year in the country, by the way. They come and they will say these guys are crooks. They will even come up with stories that no, it's because they are unable to collect revenue, they have sold their country to the Chinese. They want us to come and feed them. So it might look as if it's a political tool, but we need to be very careful. You know, we don't need to think with emotions. Zambia is very rich.
You know, the other thing, Mr. Abasonde, I am thinking that this country, it's permitting cadres to run the nation. When I say it's permitting cadres, like you said, if the president says, I'm not going to do this, the repercussions are that people will go on the street, and there are opportunists that will mobilize the failures and start causing chaos. But like you are saying, if those international people come, then they find there is plenty of food, they will just call you careless people. Because I do not understand, where do we go wrong as Zambians? I still haven't understood that a rich nation like this one, we are still on ground zero. Still from 1964, surely I fail to understand.
The first problem in our country is one, we do not, they say a king is respected abroad, not in his homeland. That is true. That speaks for them. So we do not appreciate that which we have. That is one. Two, we are scared, including Hawazok, we are scared of going into business. We think when I get papers, my job is to get a job. So as long as that white collar job is not going to come, a white collar job is not going to come, it's bad. We need to do entrepreneurship. For example, me, I've worked now in Zambia for 10 years. I will maybe do another 10 years, maybe, but I'm giving myself maybe another 5 years. I should go into business. Because I'm being bribed by my employers at the moment to produce huge sums of money for them when I'm not getting anything. The only thing that I'm getting is my predetermined salary. So I need to move away. In my 10 years, if I was told today, for example, you are fired, or we have retired you, I won't go and suffer. Because this little 10 years that I've spent, I've managed to use the resources that I accumulated and other things that I do to make to prepare for my retirement. That's what I've managed to do because I'm an economist. So now my main task is to ensure that the nation, Zambians, know that we need to do business. There is no need. You know, fingerlings, one is 50 ngwe. So 3,000 of them is 1.5. The Zambians will even put you 300 to Ambassador. Then you go and look around, just walk around. You are going to find water bodies in this country, streams that do not dry up. So why should we be dying of hunger? We have just Congo there. If you go to Congo, those colleagues are a bit worse than us. They need our maize, they will need our fish. And we need to be very careful because very soon the Congolese will be self-sufficient. Then we'll have no market. So we need to make them use. Let them mine the minerals. They can use our roads to export. But us, let's get their revenue and through providing them with maize, with fish, with chicken. Because I've been to Congo before. They tell me we don't want to do that thing. By the time a chicken is growing, I would have been very tired. But look, every day, mineral water, every day, Coca-Cola, every day meat from Brazil, docks at Dar es Salaam, passes through Nakonde, uses our road, they pay, of course, tolls, go through Lubumbashi, and the Congolese eat. Beef that was grown in Brazil passes through our country to go into Lubumbashi. When we say we feed Lubumbashi, we are joking, we are lying. When you go to Lubumbashi, more than 80% of the goods that they consume come from France, Belgium, and from South America.
What is your advice to the government on youth unemployment?
I think what government should change its approach towards youth empowerment. We have been having a lot of youth development funds, citizens economic empowerment funds, and a lot of funds. Our attitude today is that when government money is coming from government, then that money is for free. So no matter how much money government will push into the economy, citizens will not appreciate. Whenever, Zambians should know that whenever money is coming to you in form of a grant from government, there's another hard-working Zambian who has created that money. He has been taxed, and that money is coming from that hard-working Zambian to you to receive for free. So what should happen with youth? One, youth need to be provided with education. Education is the equalizer. Yes, we have seen a lot of universities have been built. I think we had 3. Now we have more than 6 government universities. We need, government should extend bursaries to all those institutions. 2, mentorship. We need to mentor our citizens. I think social media is doing a very bad job because people are, you know, when we were growing up, we used to be holding, we were holding UNIP cards, and UNIP will tell you there's one Zambia, one nation. They'll teach you how to sing the national anthem, and they'll give you UNIP principles. That was part of the mentorship. So we need mentorship. The church should mentor the youth. Government mentorship should be there. Zambia National Service should take also the lead in mentoring the youth. The youth should know that money cannot come from direct. If I'm getting money direct from government, then I'm more of a loser than a helper, because you are supposed to create money for your own country. As EAZ, we have said, look, we cannot have government giving free money to citizens. Government needs to take care of old people. Government needs to build roads. Government needs to build schools. Let government do government business. We are challenging our citizens. We have created the Citizen Entrepreneur Development Program. That program, we are going to pull resources from the private sector, and we are going to venture into agribusiness, mining, and urban businesses. Very soon, you are going to be seeing fish tanks. It's a challenge to citizens. We'll give them the inputs, no money. We'll give you, what do you want to invest in? Fish farming. My friend, this is an expert from Palawana or wherever who knows how to do fish ponds. You will start digging. How many are you? Cooperative, 20 women, 20 men, you start digging. If you have money to have another person do the bore, it's okay, because you'll be creating employment. Because as we just want to find a fish pond dug in this nature. People that don't want, they don't want to be empowered, because nobody's going to give free money. So you do that, we give them inputs, fingerings, dam liners, we help them how to do it. When they're harvesting, they should not think of where the market is going to be. This program will come and off-take the produce. What the secret of what we're trying to develop is we are trying to create sustainable business models. Sustainable, meaning people should be, one, when you are giving help, let it come through inputs, let it come through skills, let it come through providing a market. A market is a problem because we don't have aggregators in this country. You don't expect the Minister of Commerce to start moving around farms to be buying maize or vegetables and then take to ShopRite. No. But one single farmer cannot, they have grown a small garden, they won't be given a contract into ShopRite. So you need an aggregator. So that's the model that we want to create. We want to create wealth among citizens. And we want other people to copy what we're doing. People, Zambians should, let's come together. As far as I'm concerned, there has never been a war in this country to stop us from developing our villages. So the other thing that government to do is, of course, to provide the necessary environment. Let them reduce the challenges we face when we go to Minister of Lands to get title deeds, to get connected. If I want to be connected to ZESCO, I need to do it easily. Let them remove the bureaucracies when it comes to getting permits. Let it be easy so that citizens are able to do what? Are able to create wealth. In the education sector, for example, we need to employ at least 5,000 teachers. Let's push, let's create...
Now, when you go to education sector, assuming that COVID is with us in the next 1-2 years or whatever, how do you expect the teachers to be teaching when schools will be shut and Zambia doesn't have the infrastructure of providing the Zoom facilities and all this e-learning? What will you do to a person in Matumbo, in my village in Chinsali, where there is no electricity? What happens?
This is where now we need the whole nation to come and sit down and say, what do we need? We need to understand what is the size of our school-going children. What is the size? Then what solution can we give them? We have a mining industry. We have copper. Cobalt is $28,000 per ton. So we can create an e-learning platform where, for example, we all have, most of the houses have TVs. There are tablets that are produced under $100. Those are things that we let companies.
You are talking about houses here in town. I'm talking about Shangombo. I'm talking about Chinsali, Chilubanama, where there is no electricity. What do you plan for those children?
We need to find a way of helping them, because of course children in Lusaka and other towns, some of them have access to computers, but it's not all of them. Just some people go through a lot of challenges. Just to even get internet is a difficult part. That's why now we need our companies that are operating in this country to come and help. We have seen Trade Kings, Neria Investments, and these other companies coming in and putting in money. When you go to South Africa, billionaires have put in huge amounts of money. Dangote operates in Zambia, but he has put in money in Nigeria because this is a national disaster. So let's help government. Let's help the needy to also access that thing. If it is an education tax that we can, I know people don't like taxes, but we can say 1% increment in VAT. That 1% will go towards supporting people in the rural areas. We can do that.
Please educate me. I know I should have asked you this privately, but there are people like me. I think under Margaret Mwanakatwe, as Minister of Finance, she wanted to introduce sales tax. But to some extent, it was fought by the international corporations to say maintain VAT. What is the difference?
What was very strange is that even the Canadians and Americans, some of them were against sales tax, when in their countries they have sales tax.
This is what I'm saying. Because in America, Canada, Japan, Britain, there is no VAT. It's tax, sales tax. But
So the way this tax is supposed to be, value-added tax is a tax that you pay on each value added. So if you are a company, you are going to be refunded the value-added tax that you have paid when you are buying inputs. The reason why the government will refund that VAT is because they want to reduce your cost of inputs, therefore reducing your cost of production. Now, our mines, it has been perceived that what they do is that there's no one who has money. If you ask the mines, do you have your dollars together in the accounts in Zambia? Is it 4 billion or is it 3 billion? They don't have. Zambia is not their primary country for doing investment. So what they do is, when they sell to their sister companies, predominantly in Switzerland. But that copper doesn't go there. So when they sell to Switzerland, the Swiss company is the one that sells to, for example, China. That's where the copper goes. So now, to bring back that money, they are going to be caught because our Bank of Zambia does not sleep also. ZRA does not sleep. They will trace the way the money is moving. So they create companies from which they buy, their own companies from which they buy graders. So if a grader is, say, $50,000, they will put it at $500,000. Then you have inflated the costs, meaning there's no profit posted in Zambia. Now that difference, the 450, the increased costs, they have inflated. That money is moving from Zambia to that company. So it's going into their own company or the same. But you ask, but there's at the border there's going to be a lot of tax they will pay, VAT, because they have inflated. Yes, but they will still get it back. Now that is the money they are going to use to pay the miners in Zambia. So they are using VAT as a way of moving money into the country. So when you cut off that line, they have no other means of moving money into the country. That's why they fought it. We met the Chamber of Mines. It was not a very good meeting. I met the Chamber of Mines in Lusaka several times. I met representatives of mines. I even met the Chamber of Mines and the other mines in Cape Town in meetings, and these were heated debates. You know, these are things that we are advocating for. You can even your life can be in danger because you are proposing something that is going to significantly reduce money for other people. So these are not, they look very simple, but if you are an advocate, these are very dangerous and delicate matters.
Why I've asked Mr. Abasonde, I received a phone call from one of the top economists from Washington, Dallas, Texas. He said, you know what? I don't think the international companies will allow your government to introduce sales tax. Because if they do, it means your country will do better. The first 3-4 years, you may not do it well. But once you stabilize, your country will be a force to reckon with. But international companies won't allow you. They prefer VAT for Africa, tax for big countries. So I was wondering whether you economists know that here, and why don't you advise the Minister of Finance the benefits and the merits and the demerits of the tax? And
you know, the problem with Zambia is that it's complex and it's political. So what was going to happen is that if sales tax was introduced last year, the mines were going to revolt. They were going to chase employees from home, from employment. They were going to stop giving jobs to suppliers, contractors, and we are going to have chaos on the copper belt. So because the people are on the streets, they're unable to work, whenever they feel angry, they are going to feel angry at government. They are hungry, and the hunger will convert into anger against government. Because the mines will be, they know how to plant news on Bloomberg, Financial Times, in our papers, and they'll use top economists as consultants to speak against VAT. We had a huge rift, even in our association, those for and against sales tax. So they will use credible sources in Zambia to fight against VAT, against sales tax. We have what we have now. Has it improved our liquidity? No. We owe them a lot of money. And the only condition is that, can you show us the final destination of the copper? They have failed. That's the only rule. You show us where the copper is going, and we are going to refund you the VAT, because ZRI is interested in the final price. I am very confident that going forward, especially when the political cycle moves, we are going to go back to sales tax. Sales tax is the best. Or specifically for the mining industry, we say zero rate. There's no, you know, when you tell the mines, can you make it 0% for VAT? You bring they won't accept. They don't want. They just want VAT to be there, because that's one angle of moving money into the country. And do you know the problem? It's us Zambians that have made that possible. For how much? Maybe a job where they are paying you $8,000 a month at the expense of those young boys and girls that are in the villages that are unable to access a computer or what during COVID.
Mr. Abasonde, let me just open up the lines now we discussed. I want you to know, like I've been saying, Zambia is on my heart. I am not a president, and I am not a decision maker, but sitting here, even with my humble education, I don't believe that Zambia is where it is, and we deserve this. We deserve better. That's me, the way I think, because we can turn around. As the phone lines are open, Mr. Abasonde, help me to understand. You talked about Nigeria having billionaires. Congo has billionaires. These countries have. Last year, my wife and my daughter, with a friend, we flew into Nigeria, was speaking there. And just at that Abuja airport, as you land, there's a section where commercial planes park. But this other side, you find there are over 60, 70 private jets, Challengers, like the one our president has. And I asked the people who came to pick us, I said, are those for government or European people? They said, no. Pastor, we have a lot of people with jets in Nigeria. They were over 50 packed. What about those who were in the air? People like Dangote. Now here in Zambia, even a Mercedes-Benz, you go under investigation.
You know, I have a friend, and we had a conversation, and I told him, you know the problem in this country, because he told me, you know what, if you are doing a project in Zambia, hide. Don't, Zambians, they should not know what you are doing.
There is a call, Mr. Abasonde. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Pastor Silva. Good evening, Dr. Winawato.
Good evening.
Yeah, this is the Kasanda Innocent calling from Rwanda.
Kasonde Innocent, as I write, sir, I'm not ignoring your comments. I want to have your name. Please go ahead and contribute to the world. And please, what you do, reduce the volume on your TV set, because we can even hear our contributions. It will make us delay. Reduce the volume or go in another room, please, so that we cut on time. Thank you, Mr. Kasonde.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and contribute.
Yeah, my contribution was, as Mr. Winawato has said it, sales tax is going to improve the standard of Zambia. If we Zambians, we can stand together, looking at it as youth, we are failing even to acquire these empowerments that are happening here in Zambia now, due to the financial deficit with the government. So if the government can sit down and support that with the mines and the other sectors, that way we can improve our country. Thank you.
But why are we blaming the government for not creating jobs, Mr. Kasonde?
We are not blaming the government really, but it is just that it's very difficult for a youth in Zambia to have a capital startup.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Okay. Thank you,
Like
Mr.
myself,
Kasonde.
I'm running a company. I've got an operator training school, but unfortunately, I'm not having a capital to move my business.
Okay. Mr. Bazok, how do we create millionaires?
You know,
You've heard Mr. Kasonde's contribution.
Mr. Kasonde should know that even me, I have several business ideas, and what I'm lacking is capital. And the reason why we are lacking capital is that venture capital funds in Zambia are very limited. Who are venture capital funds? These are wealthy people that put money in one pool, and then they invest in people and their ideas. For example, I have a very good idea. I want to start operating, say, minibuses. So I tell them my minibuses will be different because they are going to be ferrying people from this place to that place. I show my numbers. So these people get the money and invest in me. Mind you, from independence, we were all born poor. My father was telling me he used to walk barefoot to school. So there's no money where we can fall back to say, this is going to be our capital. So what
There is another caller, Mr. Havasonde. Yes, sir. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Nathan Chanda, and I'm calling from Abel Kiwansha.
Nathan Chanda. Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Chanda.
First and foremost, I just want to commend the Catholic TV for bringing these programs very informative.
Okay.
Yes, I want to start by commending your guest.
Miss-
And the way he has come out, he has really shown the patriotism that we are lacking, a lot of us as Zambians. Yes, I want to agree with him in a sense that if one part of Zambians, we can check our mindset and start thinking of that which we can contribute to this one. living example of someone who has never worked for anyone, because I started my business at a tender age. And so this is the challenge I always throw back to my fellow youth. It's high time that we started thinking like what Abazoka has been talking about, thinking outside the box and standing up, especially as youths, to be able to be counted. Because there is no nation that can achieve its social and economic goals without a full and active participation of the youth. Everything in Zambia is politicized, including COVID-19, their politics. Everything is politics, but we need to work for a cadre, a generation of people who can say we can do it as Zambians, and we should not wait for politicians or other people from outside to do it for us. We ourselves we can do it. Otherwise, I just want to commend you for this program. Keep it up, and we have a great country which we can build if all of us come together. Good ideas like which I'm hearing. I've learned a lot.
Thank you so much, Nathan, and may the Lord bless you. You heard this comment. But what you are saying, Mr. Abasonde, I'll tell you one example. When we started building this church, before we started, I went to the bank. I said, please help us with the money to start with. They said, bring collateral. I said, where do I get? If I have collateral, should I bring it here? How do I come to beg? Story short, thank God somebody understood and they financed the building. And this is a director in one of the banks who said, you know, Pastor Chuva, I believe your vision. He single-handedly influenced the people down to give us the loan when people did not believe in us. We want to start this Cabinet TV. I present the idea, I present the business. We never even got a single dollar from the bank. So my wife and I had to sell a few things and what to just buy 3 cameras and start what we are seeing here. But that little idea and the money we had brought about Cabinet.
You know, Pastor, 2-3 months ago, there was a rumor about noise about disgruntled youth and what. You know, I was a youth 4 years ago. After 35, I stopped being one. But I know I finished my PhD at 27 years old without my parents ever putting money into my university education. Really? I did everything I did myself. I used to send the money back. When I came back, I was still a youth, and I think I lived my life to inspire other youth. At the age of 37, I became EAZ president and said, you know what, my colleagues, we are going to do? EAZ has been very low. We are going to invite 4 presidents to a thing we are going to call the National Economic Summit. My fellow people laughed at me. Then I said, for these people to take me seriously, let me use my own money and take them to Siavonga for planning for that event. I took them to Siavonga and we planned. They started taking me seriously. And I showed them the vision of what we are going to do. The first call of point was the president's office. You know, for who am I and who's the president, you know. We sat down with him and said, Your Excellency, as EAZ, we are going to do a National Economic Summit. We want you to invite Thabo Mbeki, Uhuru Kenyatta of Tanzania, Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, Jakaya Kikwete of Tanzania, and yourself. He said, where are you going to host this event? We said, in Livingstone, at this place, and this is what we are planning to do. You know what? He said, okay, I'll come.
This is President
Lungu.
Lungu.
Yes, he said, I'll come. So I think after 2, 3, 4 months, he even forgot about it. That's what I think. We started planning. I went, we are looking at an association that hadn't paid. I took over it. Hadn't paid salaries for 6 months. And I'm sure, government sees what you have. And I'm sure they're saying, these people, they don't even have even a single way in their coffers, and they're saying they're going to do this. Let's watch. So I went into one of the offices, government office. I'm not going to mention them. And I said, sir, this is our idea. So we want you to help us with a letter, also your other ministries, they know that we are nice people and doing it for this. They laughed at us. Fast forward, we are in Livingstone, and that gentleman comes to me and said, my friend, do you know what? When you came with 2 ladies and told me you are going to invite the president of Zambia and the other presidents, I said, these are jokers. But it all took a dream. And,
But did those presidents come?
They came. We flew in Uhuru Kenyatta. Our president flew in. Doctor, you know what happened? It's a very interesting story because I was dealing with students. The people that were working at the association were students. And people that have never, for me, when they meet a director of a ministry, they have met, the biggest person on the world. And then I'm telling them we're inviting presidents. So we go to a company and I explain the whole program. Then they say, okay, we'll look at our budget and we shall give you some money. So I just said, we just need perseverance. In some companies where we are going, the doors were just being closed. They say, there's no money, there's no budget. But I kept on saying, we go for a meeting, we take pictures, we put it in the media, that we went and discussed about the summit. I visited over 70 companies. 70 companies. And the summit was in July. And by May, I had not received not even a single coin. The venue was booked without even paying anything. And adverts, well-wishers, had paid for adverts on ZNBC. I received a phone call from MD Henk Zanako. I said, we have approved your money. He said, how much? 500,000 kwacha. That was the first amount that came in. After the following day, these are private companies. The following day, Stanbic, 160,000 kwacha. The other day, we reached a point, I remember 2 days before the summit, I'm at the EAZ office. There was a gentleman who waited from 08. Then around 13 hours, I said, this gentleman has been here for a long time and nobody's attending to him because our people were overwhelmed. I said, sir, can I help you? He said, yeah, yes, I've come to donate some money for your cause. He said, from which organization? I'm an entrepreneur. All I need is a small segment. He said, how much? 300,000 kwacha. Why am I saying this? I raised over 6 million kwacha for this summit. Over 6 million kwacha. All we had was an idea and determination. A lot of doors were closed. A lot of people fought the idea. But the person who believed in was the head of state. I told my colleagues, I think, you know what? Let's make these people believe that we are very serious. Let's write a letter to Dr. Kikwete that we want to pay him Ketes Ko in Dar es Salaam before we go to the summit. So using our contacts and what, he was in South Africa, somebody says, the person that you are looking for, I'm with him. Here's a phone, talk to him. I spoke to President Kikwete. He said, no, don't worry, my friend. You come to Dar es Salaam. And we flew into Dar es Salaam. When we came back, with our media campaign, that's when the funders believed that these people mean business. And we got the money. And we had a successful summit with government spending very little money, just maybe on security, for the presidents and so on. This was an idea developed by private people who had no money. I mean, who is we EAZ to invite a president of Kenya, sitting president, foreign head of state? It was a top level meeting. Now, why am I saying so? I'm saying so because there are a lot of youth that are out there with ideas and they feel frustrated that this person has closed the door. The door closes. God has said, this person is a very wrong person to help you. I want you first to try these other doors so that when you are helped, you cherish that this I got with hard work. So youth that are out there, you should not give up. Women groups, I don't know, even just citizens. Zambia is the only country where what I've explained now can happen. A lot of people never believed. They thought it was going to be a failure. From there, people take us seriously. But if you just wake up and say, I'm a Zambian, I need money from government, There are a lot of other people that can give mine. You have just given your testimony of how the church was built, how the it was started. By the way, it has a huge following, because even me, I watch.
Thank you.
Yes, it has a huge following. It just needs determination. You know, there's another entrepreneur, the Dr. Beremu, Jim Beremu from Mahogany. You know, he says he's a veteran. You know, he's a vet. You know, so for him, he understands his vet. You know, so he said, I just had obsession with planes, and I moved with my dream. He's now a CEO and shareholder of an airline.
Mahogany Airline.
These are the type of stories that we want to hear. He's just a normal. If you ask him and he shows you that this is where my parents were staying, you'll be shocked. So why should other people feel neglected? I mean, when I went to study abroad, I knew nobody at the bursaries committee. I went and sat. There were 3,000 former student pupils that came to sit an exam with me. They were only looking for 18. But what the difference maybe between me and the rest is that 3 days I was just studying, no going outside. I made sure that I read even subjects they said we are not going to come. I read them. I read everything. Advanced, non-advanced, I read it. Because I was determined to say, I knew that if I get this scholarship and if I succeed, it's going to uplift my living standard. That's why for the youth of this country, there is no political party that is going to bring food on your table. It depends on you. Citizens determine how a country is going to be. For how long shall you wait from political cycle to political cycle? A lot of youth on WhatsApp groups, they are sitting now and just discussing politics. Fire that one, bring in that one, remove that one. That will never bring money anywhere. And you know, there's a colleague of mine from the USA who told me, my friend, do not build enemies, create friends. If you go on TV, on social media, you are insulting, for example, people in authority. Yeah, and Zambians are interconnected. You might insult a person who is a PS, for example. But that PS has a brother in another ministry or a sister whom you might want help. They'll remember you for that. Or they are not even relatives. They'll just remember your character to say that one's character. You are developing your own path. You benefit more by living with people in harmony and believing that you are able to achieve. I talk to my students, as we are educators, I say, look, the way you are now, you have more, you are as students, you have more power than me. Because as a University of Zambia student, you can just wake up and say, I'm going to see the permanent secretary of higher education. You can wake up and say, we are banking students. We want to go and see the Minister of Finance. And the minister is going to ask, who wants to see me? They will say, University of Zambia students. He will even make a day because you are coming from an institution of higher learning. They will listen to you, even pupils. But if you now go on the street and start throwing stones, they will say, those are riffraffs. Nobody is going to entertain you. You are actually first finishing the name of the institution you are coming from. Then two, no one is going to give you respect. There's a certain way you maneuver your way around in society. And it's only up to us to make our lives better. Me, that's what I believe in. Probably sometimes I was wrong, but now I understand. We are still growing.
Mr. Aberson, you see what I told you, that time does not permit us. We are already into the news time. But can I quote you for another time? I want us to discuss on ideas how to turn people into millionaires. Because me, I don't believe, even if God did not call me to be a pastor, I don't think I would have been a political cadre. No, my mind works in a certain way. I'll come and tell you my humble education. People think I'm a doctor like you, or I've gone to universities. There's nothing to do that. Just my mind. It operates in a certain way. I believe that I was born for greatness and nobody can change my, Even if I was in John Howard, I would not even be a political cadre. To be ferried on a road to go and throw stones. No, not the way I think. So I think we need to come And you need to educate us. We need to develop millionaires in this country. Is it possible?
It is very possible. And, there's a place I went to visit in Kapiri. Because I said, this mining, foreigners, I also want to own a mine. So I went to Kapiri. I found, when we were growing up on the copper belt, there used to be these stones that they were greenish in nature. Especially after the rain season, you find it's green. That was copper on the ground. So 2020, I found a place with copper just lying on the ground. And foreigners know it's copper. As Zambians, we don't know. So how can you tell me that as Zambians with, 2 hands, some of us are blessed with 2 hands, with 2 legs, are failing to mine that copper? We think everything is foreign. If you have a house to sell, you are thinking to sell it to foreigner because they'll give you more money. Think about your fellow Zambians. Then when you turn around and say, these nationalities, they have bought all the buildings, but you have forgotten that you yourself at one point sold property to a foreign national. We're not saying it's bad because we're living in a global world, but what I'm just saying is that we need to unite as citizens. This is the time to change the mindset. Nobody owes us a living. We owe Zambia a living. Because Zambia is a country that was created by an agreement of citizens to say we're going to create Zambia and we're going to be called Zambians. So we should think of what we can do for Zambia, not what Zambia can do for us. Zambia, what can do for us, gives us rainfall, gives us peace and the air that we breathe in. So now let's give back to this country. Let's beautify it. Let's love it. Let's love one another. Let's not fight. Forget about politics. Let's make money. For me, I always tell my students, if you are not going to make money for your kids, if you are not going to be successful, then you will not have lived. A man should have the following. 1, they should build a house. They should plant a tree so that they are safeguarding the environment for the future, and they should have a son. What I'm saying by should have a son, they should have offspring. If you are not blessed in that way, at least you need to build a house, you need to plant a tree. Then you have lived your life.
Well, CamNet TV viewers, there is so much to talk about here, and I've just scratched the surface. Mr. Havason, the doctor, I appreciate so much your coming. I've been looking for you all this time, but make this as your home and station.
Thank you very much. And I was surprised we sit on one WhatsApp group.
Oh, is that so?
Yes.
May the Lord bless you, and I look forward that your effort and other people's efforts will turn this nation into something.
Thank you very much.
To our CamNet viewers, this has been your pastor, Pastor Chiluba, and my guest, Dr. Havasonde, the President of Economic Association of Zambia. Keep watching CamNet TV, and remember, CamNet TV is not another channel. Let's get into the news in case you missed the news. God bless you.